I just watched this video by Cosmic Skeptic about cancel culture. I never heard of the phenomenon, even though I've talked about it a lot in connection with my own life and what I've seen on TV, for example, in China, where they put people in these prisons without them knowing what they've done, and they are being reschooled. And I don't know what the point is, but it might happen in other countries as well, and also in psychiatry and things like that. But then uh, that's not how it's defined in when you Google cancel culture. You get the definition something like a public person who said something maybe years ago that was then later considered as offensive, and then people, uh, well, the majority want to punish that person by, well, canceling them. So they don't listen to what they say, they don't comment, they don't. And I think I've experienced something like that on Facebook, but I don't think I uh, am having views that are offensive. But when it's easy to talk about this when thinking about what is going on in the public way. Everyone can see it, and this is a public figure. People, well, it's not because it's unsaid, I guess. And how do people agree on this? Do they make a Facebook group and then they make these comments? Uh, don't, or do they talk about this person? And how does this agreement come to life? And I don't understand. I know how when you boycott a firm because the animal experiments they make with, for example, when it comes to makeup or something like that, and you think that's brutal, and you say you boycott the firm because you don't want to support a firm that is not treating animals right. But this is more, is it something that people see is happening and they don't know how the agreement is made? Or do they make a Facebook group where they say we hate this person because of the person's views and don't listen to what they say? And then, or is it Facebook that censors what they say so that it doesn't appear in the feeds of people? Or how does it happen? Because the article I read and what Cosmic Skeptic said about the matter does not explain how it's being agreed upon, how it happens. I know when I look at videos on YouTube, I can see that, and also when I search on Google for actors, or then some people are very difficult to find. Shirley MacLaine, I was looking for her. It should be easy to say she was acting in. She had this a movie, 1990s, I think, Alien book or something like that, red-haired, or as far as I remember, or short-haired, or whatever I wrote. But she didn't appear, and when I scrolled down, I found her at the very bottom of all the images of actors, and all the others didn't have anything to do with the subject. So that's also a way where Google actively cancel people and say, she's not, we don't think about aliens, and it interferes with, for example, Elon Musk, when he talks about space and aliens, and it's in a more horror-like way. They are already here, and so to make people scared. But she's more, she sees it as some signs and signals that helps her in her life to direct her in the right direction. And so maybe that interferes with the new kind of view on this, or maybe Google has invested some money in these Tesla cars or whatever. It could be another person, it could be another public figure that interferes with making money for some people. Also, when it comes to sexism, and then on the other side, femininity or feminism. Uh, I can see that even though this woman who made this theory about object relation uh, therapy, or object relation, well, it has to do with children and how they gradually let go of the symbiosis with the primary caregiver, uh, usually the mother, because she has to breast and she can breastfeed, and how and if I search YouTube, I can see a lot of women nowadays explaining this, but never referring to Melanie Klein, who was the one who made this theory. Like, they are talking about it as if they made it, and also some of the things uh, that is included in the theory uh, is a bit similar to some other theories by male psycho therapists, or whatever their professions were, and they get the credit, and we don't know, is that actually the truth? Did they invent that, and now she looks like she just copied? Or, and when you hear about her life, she's uh, they talk about her as a horrible mother. Her daughter hated her, and she didn't know how to be a mother, but she could make these theories about children, and that is creating an image of her as if we live in a time where women are viewed as bitches, and no, maybe not, but most people want to put women down and to put men on a pedestal, and it's a very strange development of our society, because we have lived in Denmark. Women were wearing scarves. I just saw a picture that my mother had of her grandmother, where she was wearing this, like Islamic women. It was very common in Denmark at that time, and women were at home taking care of the children. They didn't go to work, and the men had the money, and they were dependent on the man. They were very Christian, like most people are not today. And I think that going back now and saying women are, I don't know if it's because of this porn um, uh, culture that is in music videos, in movies, in uh, um, maybe art, but it's always, well, it's always been like that, but also tendencies in selling products, or being a leader at a firm. I saw this program in Denmark with a young girl who were in there in the program to win some money to get her company going, and they were going to give her advice and help her, and, well, invest in the company she had. And they said that she was like the leader type, and she was she was a very dominating person, who seemed like she wanted to look down on people. That's not being a good leader. There was another woman, she was actually a woman, who could talk about problems, and who, when they saw her as kind of a mother, they wanted her to get the bad card with the bad characteristics. Like, she was a pushover, uh, and she was a bit, she had a little more fat than the others, but she was a very nice person, looked good, young, and as the others were, but she was easy to give the bad card. And this leader type, she said, well, she thought she should take it. Is that a good leader? Putting the people who work for you down, making them feel like you're not worth anything, without putting into words what good things could be about that quality. But this woman, she let them hit her, and she kept working. And I thought about her as a good leader because she was still very nice to them. She was very she could take it. Most people complain to the boss and say this and that doesn't work. Blah, well, if they are not afraid to get fired, but some where can you complain about things that doesn't work? That will be the leader of the company, and she had all these qualities. She could take it without getting angry. She could talk about the problems. She was not afraid to address problems that in the group functions. But the other girl, she was not paying attention to anything but herself, being someone who could dominate the others. Is that a good leader? That's what I mean when it seems like the porn culture has found its way into companies, where it seems like they are inspired by porn movies with bitches who they think she's a good leader because that bitch that men don't like because she's too nice and too kind, and she can put her down, and then they can go to the bathroom and jerk it off. And so where did I come from? Well, that was sexism. But that can also have to do with this cancel culture, that people find these people. They may not have done anything morally wrong, but they have what is needed for them to get a nice night in the bedroom with their, maybe a group of people, or in the swinger club, or husband and wife. And then because I know people write all kinds of shit when it comes to female musicians who maybe dress sexy because they know they have to, and they walk on stage with almost no clothes, and they try to still keep their dignity. But then some men will. But it seems like maybe they I'm getting so, I need to, and they find this profile and they write, oh, you fucking bitch, and then they go, and if the porn is what gives nurture to this tendency, which could be the case, because some people think it's beautiful that my children are with a violent alcoholic. Some Americans have written to me, oh, it's so beautiful. And I get so angry because that's not beautiful. That's hurting my children. That's not something beautiful. And my life is not beautiful. It's meaningless. It's nothing happens. I'm just killing time, and it feels like I'm wasting my life. And maybe that's, people think that's beautiful because it gives them some kind of good feeling. But that has nothing to do with me, but their views on what I deserve in life, and especially what my children deserve. But this was not going to be about me, but to say that I think people's values and the way they view beauty and feeling good, and it has changed, so that people, when they see someone crying, they'll just maybe smile because I don't know why. Usually before, in the 90s, you would go ask that person, are you okay? There was some woman from another country who my car, there was no more diesel, so it stopped, and I was there, and I was angry and a bit sad also. And she stopped, and she asked me whether I needed help, if I was okay. And it was in such a kind 90s way that I felt so, wow, does that still exist in this society? I didn't know. I have experienced when I locked myself out of the apartment I lived in before, that the locksmith would say, well, I'll close the shop for today and I'll just send him home. Have a nice day. That's how people have acted towards me. And then I would ask him, well, do you not think that you could come and help me because you're not closed yet and you just send him home? So what do you think about me walking around not being able to get into the apartment and I don't have the money to pay the others because it's more expensive? Well, he didn't care about that. It's so that living in that kind of brutality for so long, it kills your uh, feeling of being worth something to other people, of love existing, of people being moral. And then of course I post things that people would think, wow, that's crazy, there's no one like that in Denmark, but this is what is happening, what happens to me, maybe not to other people, but that's part of what's so funny about it, because then I would seem like I'm crazy, or just and then people say Denmark is a nice country, we're the happiest country on earth, we were, and people walk around smiling like they had a brain damage. Sorry, people who had a brain damage, maybe I did, because my speaking is sometimes a bit weird. So cancel culture, that is not just what you can clearly see and what is being publicly said. Maybe about Hitler, we don't want to. His videos are being, I don't know, you can find them on YouTube, so I don't think he is cancelled. But people will hopefully not agree with him on the things he did to the Jews. I never heard of this. I was never part of that group of canceling people. I was cancelled. Most friends when I have contacted them on Messenger, they have just stopped answering, and I don't know why. And if I'm done asking, did I do something to you? Then they will say, why? Don't make I don't know, blaming me for being. Because if I've waited for 5 days for them to answer something, and I just ask, did I do something to you? Because then we can solve it by communication, or through communication. But I don't ask that anymore. I just, well, bye. And I know it's hard to understand that some people are treated like that. But that's the case, and Facebook is a very easy place to play these games with other people. It's easy to, if I have friends and people can see my friends, then make this group chat and say, what's wrong with her? I mean, well, is she a bit, and for my ex too, I don't know if he could think of doing something like that, but I have contacted a few of his friends to ask what's going on. But not making a group chat. But people can do that. They can create lies. They can say she's like this and that, even though no one has seen me for years and years. Not any of my friends regularly. Maybe half an hour. So no one knows how I'm feeling. So to make assumptions from what I may be posting or writing on YouTube, that's not the same as how I act when I'm walking around here or talking to people, going to a shop or whatever. So to make some assumptions because people want to see you in this or that way, it's very hard when people get create an image of you as being this and that, and you have had to agree to that because what else could you do? No more details about that. Then if you want to change their views and say it's not true, I never was like that, then it's very hard for people to let you change as a person. So and that can be even harder if people get the idea that we want to cancel this person, we don't agree. But why? I've always blamed my mother for when I went to her place today. I had brought these fruits, plums. It was 1 kroner, which is very cheap for one plum, and they were the bag with these plums was lying on the table, and she said, "What's that?" And I didn't answer because I knew, okay, now she's gonna criticize the plums. And then she said, "Is that plums? I don't like that." And I said, "Oh well, you don't have to buy them. It's not for you. It's for me myself." So it was my breakfast. I just went there to get some money from, well, that she was gonna help me with. So I have tried to convince her again and again that if I say I went to the secondhand shop to find a blouse, I don't want to go to the secondhand shop, and I tell her, well, just because I go there, I don't say that you have to go there too to find your clothes. I can understand that we're different people. You are not the same as me, and I respect that you don't want to go to the secondhand shop to buy your clothes. But can you respect that oh, that's a cat? It's just changing the subject to never get done with this conversation, or just say, "Oh yeah, I can understand that," she said, and then 10 minutes later, "What's that? I don't like that." Like we have to be the same. I don't know if she thinks that if I do something, then and she says, "You want to decide what I'm going to do in my life," and I don't, and so I try to explain to her, even if she dyed her hair blue, I wouldn't mind, or I had no opinion about it. So I can't say I wouldn't mind, because then I say that I have an opinion, and so I say that it doesn't matter. It means nothing to me that what color you dye your hair, or what you eat, or what you do at what time. And she will not, she will say that I want to decide for her what she's going to do, and which I don't want to. So it's, I don't understand the same, it's going in circles, and it's done that for so many years. I don't know who she thinks I am, because I'm very, but she misunderstands. Just putting some meaning into the words that I say that was not intended. And I don't think I say it in a way like, why, I bought this in the secondhand shop, like, why didn't you do that? Well, it's just, I went to the secondhand shop to buy these shoes or whatever, and then, I don't like secondhand shop! Instead of, so, oh, wow, they look nice, how much were they, or what brand is it, or it's I don't know what. Okay, I'm used to that, but it gets tiring to keep explaining that I don't want to be I don't care what you do, and then that can sound like, well, I don't care about you. So it's very hard to get that right. Okay, so so people can have some kind of view on you as a person that does not have to do with you. And I think people have the right to have their opinions about things without you saying that you have that opinion, it's not right, I will cancel you. People have the right to have their opinions unless they say, I'm going to kill that person, and they actually go out to kill someone, or that's not a good thing. Then if it has to do with criminal deeds, then you would have to act on that the way you do in a civilized society, not canceling people and just I didn't even know it existed as a concept, or an act, something that took place in reality. I thought it was it gets harder and harder to be diagnosed, I think, in psychiatry, because everything then some people say we don't live in this world, it's not reality, we don't it's just a game, and like a computer And I think a lot of things seem to be normalized, and that's a good thing. And it doesn't come from Denmark, but America. So that's a good thing that it gets more legalized to talk about things in a philosophical or in wonder about things without people saying that's weird. But it's not easy to change if you're being cancelled and no one listens to what you say. If you just keep having the same view on people saying you are like this and that, you have that opinion. And if you're not being part of a discussion where people can teach you what they think, what they believe, try to communicate, have a dialogue, and see whether that would change someone's opinion. If not, then, well, they have the right to their opinions, unless it's something that's not legal. Then it's not. Then it's another way people need to go to. But ethic, yeah, that would be, for example, animal trying out makeup on animal eyes. So that's ethically, if it hurts the animals too much, and a lot of people have not liked that since the 80s. I had a friend in school, she did not like that, and she and her mother, I think they did something right, wrote some letters, or I don't remember, something that to try to stop that. I didn't have of course I had an opinion because I like animals, but not that I was an activist or anything. But it was, her family was more actively doing things to prevent this or that. Also, when Dynasty stopped on TV, they wrote a letter to the TV channel to say we want it back, and I think it returned on TV, but I was not like that. But her mother tried to make us believe in who we were, and even though people said, well, I had this blouse, and I think my friend had also different clothes from the others. Yeah, she did, and I also did, but she maybe more her than me, and she tried to convince us to be who we are, and not to let these bullies get us down, and not to make that change our belief in the right to be who we were. She had a lot of she taught us a lot about that, also about communicating about things. If we had a disagreement, she would sit down and talk with us until we crying, all of us, and sometimes a bit too long talks about that. But she tried to make us talk about things and communicate, understand each other's viewpoints, and making us believe in who we were, not being afraid to say what we think about this or that. So that's, well, my mother is not afraid to, but that's in a different way, in a more, it creates aggression and disagreement and anger, and so that's not, but also she's not afraid to say what she thinks, but it can be a bit embarrassing if you're standing there with people and a woman is standing 3 meters or 5 away and she can hear everything. So she looks a bit strange, that woman, and that like a child, and I'm like, shh, don't say that. Yeah, I know that how when people act too shitty against you, then I can understand that that you can get the that you want to say something bad about them, but not in that way. That at least she looks strange without having done anything. and I'd rather address it, or yeah, address it. But it's difficult if a lot of people act uh, uh, unkindly and strange towards you. I don't know where I came from. And, well, it's about cancel culture and about having the right to say what you think about this and that, unless it's something that can harm some people in one way or the other, and that's in a way that's defined by the court system, for example, or you shouldn't say that. Well, I don't know. I know that it's okay to discuss things like this as long as I'm not sitting here threatening the cosmic skeptic guy, or um, talking about some person that I have cancelled. And I I think I know what I'm allowed to say and not allowed to say. I know I can talk about my mother and say these things because people write books about their childhoods and how and things that people don't agree with afterwards, and they don't like the way they are being presented in the books from their child's childhood, or some friend has written something about another friend that he or she does not agree with. Uh, yeah, but I think it should. Oh, it has so many. Also, I have searched for old songs, and then titles are being used again and again, and I know that's okay. You can do that, and words from that specific time and another artist song, and you search for it, and then all these songs and all these uh, other posts uh, on Google, so you can't find things where I've explained it so well, and I cannot explain it better, and all the other things don't fit as well as what I'm searching for, but it's being hid underneath all this new crap and nonsense, and to hide I don't know what. Um, I think that's also canceling, uh, like the what's she called? The actor I talked about before, actress. Oh, that's maybe old-fashioned to divide into man and woman. I don't know. Ah,